Back in my day, wishing, well, it's all I knew. That's what we're talking about on the show today.
Welcome to the Family, Health, and Hustle podcast, where sharing our stories, common experiences, and best practices about balancing family, practicing good health, and reaching your goals can help you feel supported, bring clarity, and guide you to the life you want. So if you're ready to challenge yourself, your health, and the hustle around you, then consider this your community. Now, let's welcome your host, Anthony Hernandez.
Hey, welcome back to the show. I appreciate you joining us today. Today marks another large step in the show and the progression and growth of it. So we have started a YouTube channel, and we'll be adding these videos to that. Our podcast is already available through the YouTube, so if you listen to like YouTube music, that's available. But today we'll be adding video to the menu. So it'll take us a little while to get it right, I'm sure, and to work through some kinks and mistakes that I'll inevitably make. But I'm excited to be progressing the podcast again. A few weeks ago, or maybe it was just even last week, we added the intro and outro sound. Now we're doing video. Who knows what next week will bring? So I'm pretty excited about it. But today I wanted to talk about back in my day. When I say back in my day, I mean when I was younger, 10, 15 years ago, wishing was all I knew. Now, what do I mean by that? I would say if I was going to accomplish something, or if I wanted to accomplish something, I got in this weird funk where I would sit there and almost just wish. I just wish that I hope this happens to me. I didn't actually have a plan. I didn't put a plan in place. I didn't do anything to do that. I just wished. And then I would get so frustrated because I'd wish and I'd wish, and I would just, I would say things like, I'm going to be a millionaire when I'm 30. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be in the best shape of my life. And then as time went on, I would be like, man, what is going on? Like, I want this so bad, but it's not happening. Well, surprise, surprise, I wasn't actually implementing any action. I was just sitting there and wishing. And I can't be the only person that has experienced this, where it's like you just want something so bad, but when you sit back and look at it, you're frustrated. Why am I not getting this when other people are getting that opportunity? And you sit back and you look and you go, oh, because I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything for it. And you get so frustrated and like, I don't know. It's so weird. I wish I could explain it better. I'm sure some of you out there have felt this, where it's like you're just curling your toes, clenching your hands and thinking, oh, come on, I know I can do this. I know I can get this job, or I know I can make more money. And then you go and you sit on the couch and you just watch Netflix, right? You don't actually put any plan in place. This was me. This was 100% me for years and years. I didn't know how to make goals. I just didn't. I didn't understand it. I didn't know how to make goals and set goals and most of all, implement them. And I wasn't doing anything to try to progress those goals as well. I had no idea that when it came to success, there was a universal law that had to be obeyed. And that is that you need to grow, to achieve. I didn't read. I didn't exercise. I didn't really ever self-reflect, at least not often. I didn't even open my eyes to all the other things I could accomplish to support those goals. And that's an important one, because so many people just want to go from 0 to 100. They just want to go from where they're at to achieving their goal. They don't look at all the opportunities that are in between now and the goal. This journey that we talk about every episode, the journey to the goal. I didn't know that that's where most of the joy and excitement and learning and everything really happens. I just didn't know. I didn't seek to solve problems that I was having or someone else. I didn't seek to add any value to anyone's lives. I just wished. I just wished I could have or achieve that thing or be that person. And I didn't realize that I had to grow. In fact, you have to grow to become that person. Now, during that process, I that's not to say that I didn't try. I tried to read books, mostly fantasy books. I actually didn't know, there's these self-help books out there that I would really enjoy. I'd have long drives and I would listen to music and just kind of dream. And there was a point where I was actually challenged to read some books about business. They were cause based business books. Basically, here's a business that surrounds a cause, and it kind of went along with the company I was working for, and I said, okay, I'll try to read these, and I tried here and there, but I finally realized I could get audiobooks. And I had tried audiobooks in the past, but I didn't have any apps. And when I spent that money, I just was like, oh my gosh, $15 for an audiobook. That's a bit, that's a book I'm not even going to enjoy. And it just never stuck. But this time was something different. This time I said, okay, I'll give it an honest effort. I was challenged to read these 3 or 4 books, and I'm going to try. And for the first time, when I was earnestly trying, I actually enjoyed it. Now, at the time, I lived about 40 minutes from work, and so I had a long drive. And so I started listening to these books and going, wow, I really like it. And I would get off during rush hour and be stuck in the car sometimes for an hour and a half, and I would just read, listen to these books, and it became something I really enjoyed. The money I had to spend for those books wasn't a waste of money. I saw it as an investment in my mind. That paradigm shift started to change me. It became less about the money and more about educating myself. I loved the way I felt, and the moment I started listening to those books, I just felt better. I felt like my eyes were being opened, and I started to love it. Now, as my car rides fluctuated, and I had different amounts of time between drives and such. Obviously, my listening, varied. And you may find yourself in that position. Maybe you have long drives, maybe you don't. Maybe you like sitting down and reading, but that was always difficult for me because I have kids. And I'm the type of person, when I read, I really have to be focused. Like, it has to be quiet in the room. I can't have music going. I can't have the TV in the background. The kids can't be even in the background making noise. Like, I just can't focus. And I think that's why I struggled with sitting down and actually reading a book. It needs to be quiet. So listening to the book was just so much more beneficial to me. It was great. That's my avenue of choice when it comes to growing my mind. And today, as we're talking about growth, we're not just talking about physical growth, but mental growth, spiritual growth, whatever it is. You have to grow to achieve your goal. And no matter what it is, you need to, learn to self-reflect. Self-reflection is such a powerful tool. Self-reflect on what it is that you want to achieve, and what is it that you need to do to become the person that can handle that goal. Because again, so many of us, and me including, even now, there's things I want to do and I'm like, man, why can't I just be there? Why can't I just be there, man? But it's, so many of us want to go from 0 to 100 or from where we're at to that successful spot. We're just not ready. The person we are today, if we could be dropped into that spot, we wouldn't be able to handle it. And we might not even, more so than that, we wouldn't appreciate it. So whatever it is, today's homework, if you will, last week, we talked a little bit about homework, but I think this week, a primary focus should be just self-reflection. Self-reflect on what your goals are and what you need to do to get there. Last week, I think we talked about writing those goals down. Same thing. I would write them down, start building out steps. There might be a profession or something that you're trying to do that you don't really know those steps. And that's okay. I'm in the same boat with some of the things I want to do. I don't know how to do certain things. But what I don't want to do is close myself off to opportunities that put me in that direction to learn those things. For example, I recently spoke about and let you guys know that my hours at work were reduced, right? Just kind of a blindsided by how that works. And it's scary, for sure it's scary because you don't really know what you're going to do. And I'm at a weird spot where I know what my profession is, but there's so many things I want to accomplish and I don't know how to accomplish them. And so I have potentially some opportunities to do some things that I had never done before that I've always wondered about, maybe wanted to toil with, and I might have a chance to do them. And I don't want to get into too many specifics, but I might have a chance to do it. And it's scary for sure, in the past, I've always been like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if I'd be successful at this or that. But I would never have done it. And now it's like, man, some of these opportunities are arising and I could shut it down and go down the safe route. But if I go down the safe route, which I might end up going down anyway, but if I go down that now, I might miss so many opportunities to get to this other goal that I have on my radar, but I just don't know how to get to. Right? It's kind of like that movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey. It's like if you're saying no to everything, you don't know the opportunities that will arise in the way that you can learn and grow and progress. And so I'm not saying say yes to everything, but we have to say yes to things sometimes, and it's scary. And we can't focus so much on what it could end up being like, because as humans, we tend to focus on, well, it could end up being really bad. And we don't realize like, oh, it actually could be good. There's a great little child story that I heard one time that it was about a baby bird trying to fly. And the mother bird was trying to kind of get the baby out of the nest and said, come on, flap your wings, fly. And the baby bird says, well, what if I fall? And the mother says, well, my dear, what if you fly? And it's so true. What if you fly? And I'm not just saying this to you guys. I'm saying this to me. This is some self, meditation and journaling and reflection right now, live on the mic. What if it works out? How awesome and exciting that'll be. And yeah, it could crash and burn, but that's okay. That's totally fine. It might happen that way, and if it does, it'll be fine. We'll figure it out. But focus on that positive. Focus on what if it actually works out. Maybe even shift your mindset. Say it will work out. I would never have even gotten to this point in my life where I could consider these things and even be optimistic about these things had I not started opening up my eyes and looking for opportunities to grow years ago. And again, I attribute that to learning to starting to listen to books, self-reflection and self-growth and business books, starting to grow, doing whatever I can in the smallest ways to start saying yes and start taking advantage of opportunities and not being afraid of opportunities. I would never be where I'm at now, to where I can stare down that road and say, well, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm excited for it. I don't know how I'm going to deal with it, but I'm excited to figure it out. And if you find yourself in that position where you're a little too afraid to take that next step, I think one thing that's important too is that successful people, they learn to manage risks. They just do. And that's something I'm struggling with because I am not a risk taker. I do not like taking risk. But again, even if I take a risk and do something that ultimately ends up failing, that may be a step of growth to the next thing and to the next thing and to the next thing that leads me down that pathway to what I want to accomplish. Now, as I mentioned, I used to drive a lot for work, and that fluctuates over time. There's times where I lived closer to work, further, where I could work from home part-time, and then I would only drive in a few days, and then now, then I would go full-time at home, and that's where I was even right before I got this news about some of my hours being reduced. And so it becomes difficult to you get thrown out of your habit of listening to books or whatever it is that you're doing, podcasts, things like that. I want to talk about an app I recently found. Now, this app, I'm not paid. This is not sponsored. This is nothing like that. But recently on Instagram, I came across an app called Headway. And it's a mobile application. It does cost money. Again, I'm not paid in any way for this to mention this, but I decided I saw it, I looked at it, and it basically what it does is it takes a survey of what you're interested in and what you want, how you want to learn and how you want to grow, and it compiles all these books. And it gives you the highlights and the top principles taught in that book. And I thought that was so cool. I just stumbled across it on Instagram while I was scrolling right before bed. Actually, it wasn't before bed. When was it? Yeah, it was like right before we went to do something. And I just was scrolling and I found it and I was like, it looks interesting. and I started taking the little survey, and I saw some of the books that it was compiling, and it was like, for me, it was like $16 or something for 3 months. I don't remember what it was, but it was super cheap. And I was like, again, my mindset has shifted to where $16, a few years ago would have been like, ugh, that's a huge commitment. Like, I don't know, I can use that for something else. I can go to Wendy's for that or whatever. But my mindset shifted, and it's, $16, that's not bad at all. That's a good risk to try this out. I've spent more on that since in this journey, trying to learn things and risking to get some value on things. And so I paid for the membership, and I've been loving it every single day since I've been listening to it. And it basically, set a goal of like 15 minutes a day. I think you can change that goal. And so it'll remind you, hey, do your 15 minutes a day. And it lists all these books. You click on it, and it gives you like the top 10 principles taught in the book. And I'm getting so much value from this. It's so cool. And so I just want to kind of shout that to the world, like, hey, this is a really cool tool. If you don't know what your schedule is going to be like, or you don't even drive anywhere, or the kids, are getting ready for school, or maybe you have the kids in the bath or the shower, like, throw on one headphone, pull up this app, and listen to some of these, to some of this every day, and it's powerful. And what I like about it too is there's been times when I've purchased audiobooks, and it's a 20-hour book, and it's a little dry, and maybe I'm not driving as much that week. And so like this one book just drags on to the point when I'm like, come on, it's a great book, but I just want to get it done so I can move on to the next thing. And that's kind of what I like about this application is I've been able to listen to the principles for, I've had it for less than a week, and I've probably listened to the summary and the top principles for 4 or 5 books since. And so I've been pretty excited about it. And it's bite size. So it's, like 2 to 3 minute principles. And then you can just, do all of them or do more or do less, whatever you want. But I just thought that was so awesome. So if you find yourself in that same position, you're trying to think, okay, I know I need to grow to become this person that I want to be, or to achieve this goal. How do I start? Look for these tools that are around you. Things like this Headway app. Things where you can go and you can start expanding your mind. If you can exercise every day and you haven't exercised before, do that too. Yes. Or if you can be reading or listening to things that actually uplift you and encourage you, that's so important. And in fact, there was a book yesterday that was highlighted called The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And it went through and talks about your need to push yourself, to improve. It talked about self-reflection, like we've talked about today on the show. It talked about self-talk, which is huge. I constantly find myself being like, oh man, why'd you do that, Anthony? Why'd you screw that up? Like, especially with social media. I mean, I think we all know sometimes when we spend a little too much time on social media, at least me, I get a little down. I'm like, oh man, that guy's so much more successful. How did he achieve that? Or that gal, man, she's living the life. If only I could do that. And so this 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, which is where I got this information, and I kind of knew it, but it just refreshed me of, hey, it is a law, a universal law of growth. You must improve. You must push yourself. And it talks about self-reflection and self-talk and the importance of that, and shifting your mindset and understanding that you need to believe in yourself. And it's funny because my brother, he's recently graduated college, and he is searching for a job. And he's been searching for a job for a few months, and he has a degree and everything. And I was talking to him the other day and kind of telling him about this book, and he kind of laughs and goes, yeah, that's great, but it's harder said than done. And I was like, you're right. It's very hard. It's way harder said than done. And here's the thing is, when you hear it today, you might forget it tomorrow. And so it's something you constantly have to remind yourself. And this is why it's so important, when we talked about last week, to write down your goals and the things that you want to accomplish, because you need to be able to look at them every day and remind yourself why you're doing it or what you're trying to do, because that's how it's those daily disciplines, those daily habits, and that's how you start changing something from just being said to actually implementing and doing. So Headway app, it's literally just called Headway. Such a cool tool. Pretty excited for it. I've really enjoyed it so far this week, and I look forward to continuing to use it. I want to also say that, growth happens outside the comfort zone. I think we've all heard that before. So if you find opportunities that make you a little bit uncomfortable, that might be where you need to go. And I can't reiterate that enough, is growth happens outside the comfort zone. How many times do you not want to leave a job because you're just comfortable? Honestly, I was there. This job that my hours just got reduced, I was there. Like, there was some other opportunities that may have come up where I was like, maybe I should take advantage of this. But I'm like, no, no, I'm safe. I'm safe where I'm at. What if I jump ship and it sucks and it's hard? Well, maybe I miss some opportunities doing that and growing. And it's kind of funny that this stuff happens, because I laugh and say that, if it wasn't for me getting kicked in the butt every once in a while, I might never grow. Because when you get comfortable, sometimes it's important that something happens and kicks you out of that comfort zone. I may make it sound easy. I am someone that stresses about the unknown. I stress about the future, especially in my financial life. And I don't regret much in my life, but there are a handful of things that I do regret, and I'm truly sad about. I wish it would have played out a different way. But there was another book that was highlighted on this Headway app called The Power of Now. And that's, I listened to 2 days ago, and that just talked about worrying about today. What you need to do today to get closer to that goal. Don't worry about yesterday. Can't change it. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't be anxious about it, rather. Because, that will be the now moment, and then you have to deal with that in the now. But now you have to deal with these other things. And it's hard to reiterate, what was being said in that book, but I was just like, that's true too. Like, so many good books on this app. I need to worry about today. And it kind of helped me for a little while, just relieve that stress, the financial stress, financial unknown, or just the different things that are coming up that I need to figure out how to do. I just need to work on it today. If I can just work on it today and do my very best today, maybe tomorrow will be better. And it's the same thing with fitness goals too. If you just worry about today, you set your goal, then you set the daily tasks, the daily disciplines that you need to do to accomplish that goal. Whether you had a bad day tomorrow, or you have a busy schedule, if you had a bad day yesterday and you have a busy day tomorrow, it doesn't matter. It's about today. What can you accomplish today? Today is what matters. There's a lot we can talk about with this. And again, to my brother's point, it's easier said than done. We need to grow. We need to find opportunities to grow and become refined so we can accomplish the goals and the things we want to achieve. Professional goals, health goals, family goals. If I want to be a better dad, that's something I'm constantly striving for. But I sit there and I'm always tired when my kids want to play. I could sit there and say, I really wish I wasn't tired. And I could wish and I could wish and I could wish. Or I could put a plan in place and say, man, I'm always tired when my kids want to play. Obviously, I don't want that to be the way my kids remember me. So I need to do things like get a better night's sleep, exercise, whatever it is, whatever it is. Look at it, do some self-reflection, think about what can I do to start growing and becoming more like that person. Because as you do, I promise opportunities will come up to do that, to grow. There's so many things, like I said, there's so many things I want to accomplish that I don't even know how to do. But I'm super optimistic about it and excited about it, because I know if I just work hard, I will get there. I don't know how. And along the way, I'll start to figure out some steps. I might find one step that's like, oh yeah, I think this will get me closer. Or this step might get me closer to this goal. I don't know that today, but I might figure it out as we go. And I mean, you always start to figure it out, but you got to get moving. You got to start acting and doing things to start progressing. And if you don't know what that is, if you have a goal and you don't know where to start on Google. Google it. If you want to be a firefighter, Google, how do I become a firefighter? YouTube has so many great videos. How do I run for president? How do I run for my HOA board? How do I get a six-pack? How do I stop drinking? Whatever it is. Whatever it is. There's so many resources out there. And the most important part, I know that sometimes I ramble on, but the most important part is you're not alone. We are all going through this in some way or another. You are not alone. And chances are, whatever challenge you're facing, whether it be mental or a physical challenge, anything like that, and if it's something we haven't even talked about on the show yet, whatever that challenge is, I promise you there's someone else going through it too. And that person might have some tips that you don't know about. You might have some tips that that person doesn't know about. Don't be shy. Don't avoid people. Don't avoid those conversations, because you have something of value to offer to someone else. And maybe that itself, you offering that value to someone else, maybe that itself is a step of growth. And something will come from that that'll get you closer to your ultimate goal. I'm excited for this journey. We're just beginning. It's never going to end. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to start getting some guests on the show. I really am. If you have some ideas of people who I can ask to be on the show, shoot me an email at anthony@familyhealthandhustle.com. Let me know who you think. I have a list of people I'm starting to make, and I'm going to start reaching out to people and chatting with people. And I'm excited to see the journeys that other individuals have taken, the challenges they've overcome, and the things that they can share with us in the community, to help us, again, know that we're not alone. And the important thing is that we just don't give up, and we keep working, and we keep pushing, and we keep trying. Thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode. If you liked this episode, please share it with a friend. Pull out your phone, hit the share button, and share it with a friend, so that they can listen and hopefully get some value out of it as well. Until next week, I'll talk to you later.
Thank you for joining in today, because pursuing a balance between family, health, and hustle, it can feel a little wacky sometimes. So we need to learn from each other. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to our next episode. In the meantime, download our free ebook, 6 Secrets for Success, at familyhealthandhustle.com. And remember, we're on this journey together.